Okay, what's up? I tried to do the local recording and I'm like scared because it started dropping frames immediately. I don't know how to do this shit, man. I probably need to change like the encoding settings. I can just download the VOD off Twitch or whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna show off how to like kind of get a head around VCV rack, because honestly it's a cool way to kind of like interact with music even if you know like nothing about music. Oh, let me say hi as well. Hello Tano Natso and Bep. What's up? Okay, so let's open up VCV. I have to go. Oh, you can hear it already. There we go. Also, I'm just using desktop audio, so at any point I might just like die instantly, because I just didn't want to set up like actual audio. That's fine. Here's a patch I made already. There's a lot of shit going on. Don't worry about it. we're gonna go over it. So I'm gonna just open an empty set. Okay. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up just like a basic synthesizer. Like if you went to buy like an analog, yeah, the wires are gone. I'm sorry. If you went to like buy an analog synth somewhere, in fact, I'm just gonna use like the basic VCV modules for the most part, and just show you like how basic synthesis works. So I'm gonna need a VCO. A VCO, it's just a oscillator, or it stands for voltage controlled oscillator. And I'm also going to get a scope. So if I plug this in, so these little ports here that are in black, these are all outputs. If I plug this into here, which is going to my audio interface, then we'll hear it. And we do. But it's loud and I can't stop it if I do that. So I'm not going to connect it just yet. You can also get different waves, so that was sine, you can get a triangle, you can get a sawtooth, and they sound a little different. We can also look at them, and that's way too, yeah, gotta zoom in. So here's like a sine wave. Yep, and we can see if we swap it, it looks a little different. They look not quite like how I would imagine them to look, like how I would like draw it on a thing. It might be something in like the digital analog translation, but I don't know. So like sawtooth, square wave, triangle, yeah. Let me just set, well no, it's okay. So an oscillator, all it does is it makes a wave that goes at a certain rate, and we can change the rate that it moves at with this big frequency thing here. Yeah, that's probably true. Like I don't know like exactly like the science of like oscilloscopes and stuff, so you're probably right. I kind of just know like generally how stuff works, so yeah. But yeah, oscillator is just always going. As you can see, I can't stop it. Like I can change how big or small the wave is and what type of wave it is, but I can't stop it. Another thing too, they have pulse width here. This is only for square wave, and it just makes the like how much it goes up longer or how much it goes up shorter, like that. This is very important, but don't worry about it yet. Okay, so we have these waves. If we plug them into our output, we can hear it. Turn that down, and we can hear all the different waves. That's cool. But it's just making one thing. Actually, here, I'll do this. Let's do a sine. I killed the wire. And then you can hear if I change the frequency, you can see you can hear the change and you can see the change over here, right? Yeah. But I can't make it quieter, which isn't very like musical. So I'm going to unplug this just because I don't want to hear it all the time. I'm going to get two things. I'm going to get a MIDI. Which one do I want? There's like 5 of them. No. MIDI to CV, yeah. So this module here is just so I can take a MIDI controller that I have, so I can set it to complete control, which is my MIDI controller. And there's two things that I want to use on this right now. This one here, voltage per octave. This is very useful for getting like actual notes, if that's what you care about. So if I plug this in here now, it'll still sound the same, but now when I press something on my MIDI controller, it's not working, hang on, hold. Okay, well, I'll do the backup of just computer keyboard. There we go. So now I'm using my keyboard to change the note. And you can see I can play a scale, which is cool. Okay, enough of that. Now I'm going to grab a VCA. So this is VCO's voltage controlled oscillator. VCA is voltage controlled amplifier. And basically all this does is I can put the oscillator, I'm going to separate this a little. I can put the oscillator into the amplifier, and then I'm going to go to my scope, and then I'm going to go to the audio output, and I can adjust just how loud the amplifier is, or the wave is coming out. Pretty self-explanatory. It's still, I can't like stop it unless I use a... Yes, first sign of everything is voltage, exactly. That is something to keep in mind, or like just, it's like the motto of modular synthesis is just everything is voltage. And we'll get into that, but so yeah, I can change the volume here, but like if I want it to sound like a piano or something, I'd have to like use my mouse and go like, right? And that kind of sucks. So instead, I'm going to have something do that for me. So here I am going to grab an ADSR, which is an envelope generator. This I'm actually going to put one row below, because we call this like signal chain. So the oscillator is the source of the sound, and then it's going through a VCA, and then the VCA is going to, well, the scope, and then it goes to our output. So this is like where the sound is flowing, is on these ones left to right. This envelope generator, the sound isn't passing through it, but we're going to use it to shape the VCA basically. So I'm going to set this up. So trying to think how to describe this. ADSR, there's 4 things. There's attack, which is how quickly the sound starts. So if I go like this, think of the line going like woo. Actually, here, I'll set this up. I can do gate from my MIDI controller, and see how there's a little gate input here. Actually going to show this off. If I put gate into my scope, oh, it doesn't like me, hang on. Okay, so when I press a key, you can see it goes up, and then when I let go of the key, it goes down. Up, down, up, down. This is a gate input, and basically it's just when it's at 0, it's closed. When it's all the way up, it's open. All right? So I'm going to throw this into this little gate input on the ADSR. And now if I press it, you can see there's a little like dot that goes along here. I'll zoom in. See this little dot that goes around. And then it stays up here, and then when I let go, it goes down a little curve. And I can adjust these things. So attack, ATT, is how fast the envelope starts. Envelope is just a fancy word for it's just doing a thing automatically. So low attack means it starts like instantly. I'll turn this down a little. Decay is after the attack, it'll get quieter, and then while I'm still holding the button down, it will stay at the sus volume, suspension, attack, decay, sustain. I wanted to say suspension, sustain volume. So if I make the decay shorter, it'll go as loud as possible, really quickly, go down to the sustain, and then when I let go, it goes, or I can do it longer, so it goes, and then releases after I let go of the key, how long the sound takes to actually stop. So there is really short, and then here is like super long. So let's just do a simple, let's just do something like this. And then we're going to take the envelope output to here, and then this goes dark. And now look at, if we look at our scope, and I'll actually put it to the audio output now. So now we don't hear anything, because now that the envelope is hooked up to the amplifier is like closed basically all the way until I press a key, and then it will trigger this envelope generator. I'm holding down the key, and then when I let go of it, see the dot goes. Now, you might think that it's like, oh, when I press the key, it's making the sound start. And I can adjust these too. But really, what it's basically doing is it's like, this is like a floodgate, and when I press the key, it's opening the floodgate according to the instructions here. But this is basically like a very simple synthesizer. And also let's mess with some of these. So I can make the attack long, so kind of starts slow, and make the release super short. So when I let go, it just ends, stuff like that. But this is sounding more like a regular like instrument, like a synth or something, right? There's some other fun stuff we can do. Like, let's get a filter. So, okay, I'm going to put this filter in the middle of our chain. So we have an oscillator here. I'm going to go from the oscillator to the filter. Also, I'm going to specifically do a sawtooth wave, which is the one that kind of looks like it's supposed to look like the teeth of like a saw blade. And then I'm going to take this LPF, which is low pass filter output, into the VCA here. And so now it's the audio is going from this oscillator into this filter, into the VCA, into the scope, and then into the audio output. And if I press the right key, so you can see as I adjust the filter, it makes the sound change in kind of an interesting way. What a filter is doing is it's taking all of the high frequencies in the sound and it's making them quieter. So the bass note isn't actually getting quieter, it's just the higher frequencies. Until you go really low, and then it's gone. I can show you how this works better in, oh, I have these layered wrong. In Ableton. Surprise, it's Ableton. It's an Ableton stream. I'm going to get operator. Okay. Because I'm literally just doing this because I want a spectrum analyzer. So this is where I can science nerd out. Oh, and let me turn this off so we don't hear it in the back on VCV rack. Is that loud? It's a little loud. And then I need a filter. So when you're hearing, yeah, those harmonics, exactly. When you're hearing any sound, pretty much, what you're really hearing is you're hearing this note, which is the fundamental. So this is what, 100 and, it's 130 to 30-ish hertz right here, right? See this big spike, the lowest spike? This is the note that I'm playing. It's at 130 hertz. If I mouse over the second spike here, this is exactly double, about 260 hertz. And then here it's exactly triple, 390 hertz, and it goes on so far, yeah, it keeps going, right? When you hear any sound, you're hearing all of these pitches. Well, not all of them, depending on the sound, but you hear these like patterns of pitches, and that kind of is what gives sound its like characteristic. These are called harmonics, which is probably something you've heard before. Now I have a filter here, and I'm going to turn down the frequency cutoff on the filter. I'm going to slowly turn it down, and this is a low pass filter. So as I turn the frequency down, you can see the harmonics, the higher harmonics on the right get quieter. And then eventually the fundamental, the main note I'm playing, gets quieter as well. And then you like basically can't hear it. And you can also, there's also a thing called resonance, which kind of gives a little bump right at where the cutoff is, where I'm starting to make it quieter. See how there's a little bump there? And it sounds cool. Different waves will have different harmonics and stuff. Sine wave is like the classic. Triangle only has a few harmonics. Oh, hello, Ruby, how are you? But same thing. Something to note, if you try to use a filter with a sine wave, you might notice a sine wave, it's also known as a pure tone. So there's one harmonic and it's the fundamental, and there's nothing else. This over here is like just noise, so it's not really contributing to the sound. So if I try to use the filter with it, there's like no difference until I get to the note, and then it just makes it quieter. So filters don't work great with sine waves, just to know. Okay, back to VCV rack. Oh, there we go. Does it still work? Yeah, it does. Okay, cool. So this is like our basic synthesizer. We have an oscillator, we have a filter, we have an amplifier, we have a keyboard that's changing the pitch of the oscillator, and we have the gate from the keyboard that's turning on this envelope generator, which opens up the floodgate of the amplifier, and that lets us hear the noise. Woo! Now, that's like a basic synthesizer. Now let's like fuck with it and make it weird. So, to do that, there's some great tools. So first example is an LFO. The O in this also stands for oscillator, and the LF just means low frequency. So with sound, if something is like, what is it? I always forget, 20 hertz? Oh, hello, Cham, how are you? Was it, if it's 20 hertz or is it 40 hertz? Does anyone remember? Is the low end of the audible range? 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz is hearing range. So as long as your wave is in that range, then if you put it into a speaker, you'll hear it. I keep hitting the wrong button. I'm glad you're live, and thank you for the follow. This is good testing that I have this like set up right. So yeah, if it's between 40 and 20,000 hertz, or 20 and 20,000 hertz, I think it's one of those. It might be 20. If the wave is moving between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz and you put it into a speaker, you should be able to hear it. Yes, thank you. I'm glad you like the alert. An LFO is very slow. So it's the same exact thing as an oscillator, but it just has a slower range. So if I put this in here, look at how slow that's moving. I have to zoom out. And you can actually see I just pointed to the screen. You can see the little light on the wire here. You think it's 20? Yeah, 20 sounds right, because it's always like 20 to 20,000. They have the 20 to 20K. They share the number. Yeah. You can see a little light in here going from dim to green and back. This is kind of showing what the actual voltage is doing. And speak on voltage real quick. The baseline voltage is 0, and then you can have positive voltage, and in here it's translated as like green. And then you can have negative voltage, and this will change to red. Usually, well, yeah, I'll just say that for now. So this is still the same thing as this oscillator, but it's just slower, and I can make it super slow. It actually says the frequency is 0.1 hertz. Yeah, and then I can make it... Oh, this is interesting. I can make the low frequency oscillator go fast enough that you can actually hear it. Because it starts to get into that hearing range. So okay, we have this LFO, so what am I doing with it? Well, I can use the output from this to kind of control other stuff. So let's say I wanted to do like a... I'm gonna put this back. Let's say I wanted to do something where like the pitch of the oscillator kind of went up and down like this. But I don't want to do it with my mouse. What I can do is I have this LFO, and I'm going to take the sine wave output. I can do any of these, you can kind of mess around. But I'm going to take the sine wave output and put it into this little FM input on the oscillator. It's not doing anything yet. FM also, by the way, stands for frequency modulation. Modulation is a fancy word. It pretty much just means like change. I'm just changing the frequency. But it's not doing anything yet. There's this little depth knob is usually what I kind of think of it as, or it's just how much do I want to modulate it. So if I turn this to the right, you can see it starts to change the pitch. And it's going at the rate of the LFO. And I can change the LFO to change how fast it goes. Right. I can also change, let's keep it like here. I can change this to make it so it changes the pitch more. Or I can do it in the opposite direction, right? So I can change all these things about it, which is cool. So this is like one way that we can mess with our synthesizer. Right, I'm just changing the pitch with this LFO. I can put this LFO anywhere. So for example, on this filter here, I can put it into the cutoff input here. And now it's going to do the same thing, but it's not going to change the pitch anymore. It's going to change the cutoff knob. So it should sound something like this. How do I kill this person? Hang on, guys. It's literally my first day streaming. Does that work? Cool. All right. So if I have this set up here, so now the LFO is going into the filter cutoff, it should sound something like this. So if I turn this up, look at that, it works. Again, I can change this, yada yada yada. Cool. Also, VCV rack is cool because it lets you do stuff like put 2 wires into 1 output. So now it's controlling the pitch of the oscillator and the filter at the same time. You can technically do that in like a real thing, but you need either a special cable or you need a multiple module. But it's just like super easy in this. Yeah. So let's do something a little crazy. So here let's go. Okay, so here we have the LFO changing the pitch of the oscillator. What if I made it really fast? It sounds kind of crazy. Right? It kind of stops sounding like a wee, and it just starts to sound like one noise. Right? This is confusing. This is called FM. It's the sound of the future. That's right, Ben. This is a thing called FM, which is what we're already doing, frequency modulating. But so I mentioned before, everything is voltage, and voltage reacts instantly. So we were using a really slow oscillator to change the pitch of this before. What if we used just a regular fast oscillator to change the pitch? So this is a VCO, not an LFO. This is a VCO that's going at sonic speed. Sonic just meaning you can hear it, not like the hedgehog. I mean, he's also going sonic speed. So now we can get some really crazy sounds because this is changing the pitch of this at the speed of an actual sound. Yeah, audio. And you can get really cool sounds from this. This is why the Genesis sounds like it is. It's all FM synthesis like this. So that's cool. But we can go further. What if I had something like an LFO changing the rate of the oscillator that's changing the rate of this oscillator? I can do that. I can just take an output on here, put it into the FM, yeah, and the DX7, exactly. Put it into the frequency modulation input on this oscillator, turn this up a bit. So now this LFO is changing the rate of this oscillator, which is changing the rate of this oscillator. So you can do some cool stuff. Yeah, and also something to note, once you start messing with FM, and this is part of the reason why I think like playing with modular, you don't need to know much about like actual like instrument music much, because once you start playing with FM, you'll kind of lose the ability to play like scales. That was me trying to play a scale. As opposed to if I take this off. Right? It's more just about like, if it sounds cool, then it's cool. Yeah. Yeah. So all this stuff, like all of these little inputs here, anything with like a white background is an input, anything with a black background is an output. FM's very confusing. It's kind of weird to wrap your head around. I wonder, like, if you're like to think about how it actually works, can be confusing. I can show you this too. So that was FM because we're modulating the frequency of an oscillator. We can also do AM, which is amplitude modulation, which is the same thing. Oh, that's cool. It's the same thing, but instead of changing the frequency, oh, I should actually use terminology. There's the carrier and the modulator, I think. But it doesn't matter. Okay, so here I'm doing the same thing as before, but now yeah, it's the same thing as before, but now I'm changing the volume at a sonic rate. So very fast. I could do... Let me get a LFO. So the same thing as before. I can use an LFO to change the volume at a slow speed. But once I start turning it up, it kind of stops sounding like... It stops sounding like... And instead it just starts sounding weird and interesting. Like around there. Let me see if I can get a good... This kind of shows it. So you can kind of see it's like it's a bigger wave or a longer wave made up of smaller waves. So it's kind of like it has the harmonics of both waves at the same time. And I don't know if I can get another... Yeah, it's a little hard to describe, but AM is easier to visualize. Oh, there, look, that looks really good. So you can think of like this being one waveform, and it's made up of these smaller waves. FM, it's harder to visualize. Let me set this up so I don't blow everyone's ears out. So let's go back to having our ADSR in here. It's harder to, it's just hard to describe, but, oh, this isn't even. You can kind of see, so it's like it's a wave in the other direction. There's a wave going, let me turn down a little. It's kind of like there's a wave going left to right here, because you can see there's this compression. Technical word alert. You can see there's this compression here, and then there's this rarefaction here. Basically, here's where the pitch gets really high, because you can see all the waves crunched together, and then here's where the pitch gets really low, because you can see them all far apart. Yeah, so this is like just some like, this is still basically like synthesis stuff. These are like synthesis tricks you could do on like a fucking ARC 2600, one of those fucking big ass boxes that has all the plugs in it. I mean, like this. Oh, you know, I forgot. I don't have any sort of like PNG, so I was just gonna do. Where did I go? Oh, I was just gonna do this. Okay. Yeah, semi-modular stuff. This is like all classic stuff that you could find there. A lot of those have two oscillators that you can kind of tune against each other, and then they're going into. Oh, this is something else that's just good to know. Is there a good bass mixer? Yeah, there's this. So this is like a single VCA. Hello. I can't even read who that is. I need to I need to like set this up better so I can actually see who it is. But hello, welcome in. Was that circle back? I don't know. Oh, yeah, the piggy. Oh, hello, Kenster. How are you? But yeah, a lot of like semi-modular stuff has multiple VCOs. You can tune them, and then they'll go into something like this. Hold on. Ah! Is it this one that I want? Nope. But this is basically just a mixer. Which is the one I... No, that's right. I want to do... like that. Yeah, that works. Okay, let me turn this. So here I have two... I'll get rid of this one for a second. I have two different oscillators. Oh, and I'll share the envelope generator. I have two different oscillators that are playing at the same time. Oh no, share the pitch information. So I have a saw and a sine wave going together into one mixer. And the mixer, the main thing it does is just combine the signals, and you can change the thing. This is also like a common theme in modular, is just each one of these modules does one thing. So oscillator just makes a noise. Filter just filters the noise. Mixer just mixes the noise. The envelope generator just generates an envelope for other stuff. But I have these two oscillators going into one mixer, and then I can tune each one. You can see I'm messing with this one, but this one, this oscillator here doesn't change. It just keeps going. Yeah. So yeah, that's cool. Now, let's start to get into like the generative stuff. which is kind of like the really cool stuff with modular. So let's get rid of the keyboard. No more keyboard, it's gone. But I still want to trigger stuff. So how do I do that? Let's just go back to one oscillator, one mixer. I kind of want to do, this is, I'm going to do a different mixer just so it's a little easier to see. What is it? ALM, yes, okay. This, it's like the same thing, but okay. This is the same thing, so here the sound is, the signal flow goes from this VCO into this filter, and then from this filter goes into the first input on Tangle Quartet, which is just a mixer, basically. The level is being modulated by the ADSR, and because it's plugged in right now, we won't hear it because it's closed in the floodgate all the way. If I unplug it, you can hear it. This is just a volume knob. And then mix just combines all four of these to here, to the scope, and then here, okay? And this is our audio interface. Cool. So, without a keyboard, I need to figure out a way to trigger this ADSR so I can get audio, right? Even without a keyboard. So how would I do that? Well, remember before, actually, let me bring back the keyboard. It's just MIDI to, there's like 5 of these. MIDI to, no, that's CV to MIDI, this is MIDI to CV. Okay, so this is the keyboard. Oh, does my MIDI controller work now? Get this out of here. No, it still doesn't work. Oh, that's loud, okay. Gotta turn down the time. Okay, oh, I gotta turn down the gain. Turn off, okay, there we go. So, remember before we had the gate on the keyboard, so when I press down the key, it goes up, and then when I let go of the key, it goes down. And this is all that was triggering the ADSR, right? It just goes up and it goes down. So we could just get something else to replicate that. So let's go back to our, let me go back to the VCV things. Let's grab an LFO again, and let's look at, I'm going to delete the MIDI. Let's take a square wave output, and you'll notice the square wave, it just goes up and then down, and it's this like really sharp one, which is what we want. So in theory, this would trigger just the same as the MIDI gate output would, because it looks exactly the same. And everything's voltage, so the MIDI was just voltage, this is also just voltage, so if I plug this into the gate input on our ADSR, oh, and I need to take the mix from here and then put this in here. You can see it's now triggering, and we have no keyboard. So this is kind of the first step, just like getting stuff to happen by itself. And we can change how fast it triggers. And remember before we had the, let's take this out for a second. We had the pulse width. Ah! Sorry. Which just changes how long it stays up for, like the percentage of how much up there is as opposed to down. We can do the opposite way too, so now it gets really close together. So we can use that here to change kind of how it triggers. Okay, hang on. This goes here. This goes here. So it's now short. I can make it longer. Cool, you know? So now we have like a little rhythm going. Let's keep it like here. We have a little rhythm going. It's not very interesting because it just keeps going, right? Let's do something a little interesting. So there's a lot of stuff. Okay. Here's where I'm going to venture off out of the like just plain VCV stuff. I mean, I already have technically. Modular enthusiasts like to leave stuff kind of like, they like to have stuff like change and evolve and like kind of be random. So I'm going to grab this. This is called the Bernoulli gate. And what this is, it's a probability module. So this gate input that we have, it's going to go into here. See where it says in? And then you can see there's a little light here. And sometimes it flashes green, sometimes it flashes red. So I'm going to take the output here. And then, am I set up? Oh, I turned this down. So now you can see it's still doing it, but not every time. Only when this light flashes red is it actually going. And I can use this knob to change if it happens green more often. So now it's happening green almost all the time. Or if it goes red more often. So now it's kind of like generating its own rhythm that has a little chance in there, right? It can kind of change like just randomly. There's only a chance for it to go one way or the other. So that's cool, but it's still just the one note. So okay, how do we get a different note? Well, we can do the same thing as before. We can take an LFO. Here's where it starts to get messy, by the way, because it's like, okay, we have an LFO that's creating a clock, which is just a pulse, basically, for this probability gate, which is triggering this ADSR, which is changing the volume on the mixer for the oscillators going through this thing. You kind of just, you need to like track everything like from start to finish, because it just gets too messy. Just like knowing the concepts will help you kind of figure stuff out. And so like, oh, this is going here. Oh, I see. That's the ADSR. And then it's like, what's triggering the ADSR? Don't worry about it. So let's get the LFO again, and we're going to have it change the pitch of the oscillator again. Look at that. It's music. We made music. Now, this is kind of fun, but actually let's make it happen a lot more often. This is fun. It's not very musical though, right? It's just kind of like bleeping and blooping. Actually, but this is one way we can change the pitch. I'm trying to think like what's my next move here. This is one way we can change the pitch to kind of get like, different sounds going. I'm gonna introduce something new. Let's have it just quiet. So I'm gonna use this, which is called a sample and hold. And this makes something very important or very useful. It just generates a control voltage. It just generates a random voltage. So when I push this button, you can see all of a sudden our scope here goes up, it went up a little, and then it stayed there. If I press it again, it went up a little. If I press it again, it went up, and now it went down. So when I push this, it's creating a random voltage, and it's just sticking to that voltage. It's doing that because I have the little random setting here. Yeah. So every time I push this button, it creates a random voltage. So I can plug that into our oscillator here. And actually, let's do... So it has frequency modulation. Now if I press this, every time I press it, we get a new note, right? The thing about this, these aren't like set to a scale or anything, so it kind of just goes wherever. But let's get something to trigger this to change on its own. So I can do the same thing, get an LFO, take the square output, and then there's this little trigger input here. And now, every time the LFO happens, it changes the pitch to something random. And I can change how often it changes the pitch. So this is pretty fast. Right, and now it just kind of changes wherever. So these are kind of like the building blocks of making like fully like modular. They called it, I can make this louder too actually, fully modular, and they call it generative music. And that pretty much just means like it's kind of something that just like makes music by itself, and it doesn't make music by itself, it just kind of like shifts around in like the parameters that you set up for it. So let's do... I'm gonna just start making like a modular jam. You like this jam? I'm gonna start like setting up just like something random, and I'll kind of explain what I'm doing as I'm going. So I'm gonna clear it. And if anyone is like, I don't know what you're doing, just let me know, because I probably forgot to explain stuff. So let's start with, I'm gonna grab one thing that I like a lot. This is called a clock generator. It's basically just an LFO. It makes the same square wave. Let me get a scope. Yeah, it just makes a square wave, like the LFO. But it has divisions. So this is the main clock output, and then this one here is, it only happens every other time that the main clock output happens. This is every third time, I'm pretty sure. This is every fourth time, fifth time. So we can get like different tempos just from one clock. Now let's get something simple set up. So you can put a bunch of modules together to make like a drum sound. Or you can just get a module that makes a drum sound, which is much easier. So I'm going to, this is Crust, which is just a drum module to like a drum synth basically. Let me get just a mixer that we can throw everything into. And we'll have the output in this game. Okay, I'm back. So this mixer here, I can just throw everything in here and then it'll go to the audio output. So here we have drum output, throw that in here, probably turn this down a little. Let's get a clock into the trigger. There we go. We have a drum. And then we can mess with the stuff on here. Cool. You can get cool little sounds. Let's get that probability gate again. So that's called Bernoulli gate. Let's throw that before this. and then let's have it trigger a little more often. So there, now it's triggering kind of randomly, just as like a baseline. Actually, let's go the faster output, and you can see how it's like a faster one now. Okay, so now I have a little drum going. Let's get an oscillator, so we get something more like tonal. Yeah, here's where I'm just gonna start pulling out whatever. So this is, what is the actual brand? These are based on mutable instruments, that's it. These are based on actual mutable instruments modules, and they're like replicated in here. I haven't talked about VCV Rack in general that much, but this software is crazy because it's just like free, and it has like all of these like modeled, like this one is modeled, and actually I think all of these that I'm using basically are modeled after actual modules you can buy. Granted, they're like $500, and an actual modular synth is like $10,000. So like being able to play with this stuff for free is just cool, because I don't have that kind of money. But yeah, so let's get our saw. Let's get, I already know that I want some sort of envelope generator. Oh, and I can just go here, tag, so envelope generator. Which is one, yeah, we'll do pip slope. Let's just put this next to it. This will go here. The saw, this will go here. You think someone should give me that kind of money? I would love that. We can change this, and then, oh, we need something to trigger this. It's loud. So what I'm doing here is I have this oscillator here. It's creating a wave. The output is going into the mixer, like that. And then instead of it being on all the time like this, I have this teeny little envelope generator here. It has attack and decay, so it starts really quick, and then it decays at whatever, kind of middling. And then it's going to the volume here, modulating the volume, and there we go. And then we have the trigger here coming from the same Bernoulli gate. And actually I can just put it like this. Oh, it's slightly different actually, I see. I see. So it's the same Bernoulli gate that's triggering the drum, but it's just a different output that's triggering the envelope here. So that's cool, but let's get some tone into it. So I'm gonna grab sample and hold. I do really just like the stock one, because you can just get a bunch of different sample and hold outputs from it. So let's take a trigger, set it to random, take a trigger from our main clock over here. This is too fast. Nah, it's fine. So now if I, maybe it's too fast. Okay, let's try it. I put the sample and hold into the FM of this. I turned up. Oh no, sorry, this one. It's kind of cool. It still just kind of sounds like gibberish though. So we're gonna do something different. So here's another example of everything is voltage. Turn this down for a second. So we have this like mixer module here. I'm gonna grab another one. And actually, I'll get the attenuator. Yes, thank you. So this is a mixer, but it can actually go into the negatives, which is cool. And I'm going to take this sample and hold. I'm going to take the slower one. And put it into this first input of the mixer, right? So it's got the 4 channels like this one. And then now I'm going to put the output into the FM here. And you can see it's not actually changing voltage. Also, another thing that's cool, if you hover over the wire, it tells you the voltage in the wire. So right now it's at 0. If I start to turn this up, it starts changing. But putting it into a mixer first lets you change how much it's going into here, which kind of seems redundant because we also have this knob here, right? But it lets me do stuff like put it into, you remember before we put the keyboard into the voltage by octave input here? So, oh, it's loud. I'm going to do the same thing now, but with this sample and hold output. Right, so now it's kind of acting like the keyboard, but it's not using this FM knob here. It still is not very musical, so I'm going to need something else. I need something called a quantizer. So this is where it lets our notes kind of be like aligned with the keyboard. And, okay, what a quantizer does is, hey, this pitch that is coming out, or the voltage that's coming out of here doesn't really translate to like a keyboard, which, you know, doesn't really make for as musical music, I guess. I was gonna say good music, but that's not really fair. But it just sounds more random. So if I put it into this little quantizer first, so into the voltage octave here, and you can see it has these little keys here. Now if I do out into the voltage times octave here, it snaps the voltage to an actual keyboard pitch. It's a little less random. It's just less random pitches, but it still is like kind of not too musical. Here's where like a little bit of music knowledge comes in. Let's say I set this, and I can change the keys on this, so I'm going to take off a bunch of keys. I'm going to take off all these little keys. Oh. And then I'm going to go like this. So now it's only snapping to these specific keys, which if you want to know, it would be like a C7 major chord. So now it's kind of doing like a little musical thing, and it sounds a little less random. Cool. So now I have a drum, and we have a little tone going. And I can, let's make it a little longer startup. Two little things going. Now, let's mess with them so it's not just kind of the same thing all over and over. We're already kind of getting some randomness in there, right, with the Bernoulli gate, which is changing how often stuff triggers, and the sample and hold here, which is changing the pitches randomly, the pitch of this randomly. I can use this sample and hold other places too. Like I can just take one of these and put it into like the timbre input here. So now this sample and hold is changing the, actually I should put it down here, is changing kind of where this knob is, right? Because it's just the input from here, control voltage, and it's like it's changing this. I'm gonna take another one, I can put it into the color here. So now we're getting more differences, right? More changes. I can even do that FM trick we did before. So let's get a simple oscillator like this. Let's put the sine into the FM here. This becomes less musical, but it does sound cool. That's what matters, right? Actually, I can take the same output from the quantizer and I can put it into the same thing here. So now these are getting the same notes and it sounds more musical. It still sounds kind of crazy sometimes. But this is kind of all I'm doing, is I'm just taking like these control voltages from the sample and hold. I can take, let's get another LFO here actually. This here, tidal modulator, it's just a fancy LFO pretty much. Oh, that's fast, my bad. So you can see the little light here is like a little LFO, right? Because it's going woo. I can throw this. Let's take the bipolar output, which just means that it goes up and down. It goes below 0. And I can throw that into like our drum thing here, our drum module. So let's do. That's kind of interesting. Right, and this is just using an LFO like we used before. What else could we do? We can take another output from here, put it into like. This is also the thing. A lot of these modules like tend to be complicated out of the box, or like have like hidden options and stuff. So there's like this control knob, which seems like it doesn't do anything, but you can set it somehow if you like hold down this button and then press like this button or something, and then I don't know how it works. So that's where it's like, okay, I'm gonna like go to info and read the manual if I wanted to figure out how to do that. But you can do something like that. Actually, I can take the same pitch from here and put it here. Yeah. We have a little thing going here, right? Let's get like kind of like a drone type thing going underneath too. This is just another oscillator. This one's a wavetable oscillator, which you don't need to know what it means really. It's just a oscillator. It's just a different type of oscillator. So I can put this like, let's get, or no, I don't know. So let's just go in. Okay, that's kind of tuned with the other stuff. Yeah, this is like, I'm not tuning this to a note. I'm just kind of like using my ear and seeing like, does this sound good if I go like this? That doesn't quite work. It doesn't quite work. That works. Alright. So now let's make this more interesting. I have the same LFO here. I can go like, where does this go? Yeah, like that. Well, this goes a little too fast, so maybe I'll use just another output from this sample and hold. Yeah, and this one's just staying the same. It's just in the same volume. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of just keep adding stuff on. I've used 3 inputs here. I can make this more interesting if I wanted to. I could do like put a filter here, throw it into the filter, filter out here. And then I can have something like this LFO. Now this LFO is changing the, if we listen, it's changing the frequency of this, and then I can have like, I don't know, resonance coming from here. Oh, that's loud, okay, never mind. But you can kind of just keep adding stuff on, and you pretty much just stop whenever you want. This is kind of this is where like modular is very different from like traditional music writing. You like that sound? Okay. It sounds like a siren. So I can actually say here, I can explain what's going on here. It's like it is like UFO. It's like Wily's UFO from Mega Man, right? Like makes the same sound. What's going on here? It's very simple actually. When you turn the resonance on a filter high enough, you start to just hear like a new tone. Right? Like, there's that tone that's just louder than the actual sound. This is called self-oscillating. And then it changes with the frequency dial. So you can get some interesting sounds. There's some cool, like, tricks you can do with, like, old synths where you kind of use this resonance tone. If you're getting sleepy, Jam, then you can head out. But you use this resonance tone here to like be a third oscillator because it's making its own sound. Yeah, there's cool stuff you can do with that. But let's go back to this. And then let's bring it back. Am I getting sleepy? I'm doing alright. I'm just kind of running out of stuff to talk about because I'm like, you kind of just keep adding on, or you just say like, alright, it's done. Oh yeah, this is the thing that's like very different about modular as opposed to like writing songs and stuff, is you kind of just make stuff and then it's like, okay, I made this, and then you like either record it and be like, yeah, that's cool, and then that's it, and then you can like record yourself changing knobs and stuff. But just, you kind of just like make jams, and then you're just like, okay, that was cool. And then in this you can save it, but like in a physical modular thing, you just like, you're like, okay, that's cool, and then you unplug everything and then it's gone forever, which is like, it's kind of cool in its own way, because it's just like, yeah, you made it, and if you recorded it, cool. If not, then you know, you just had a good time. But yeah, you can just keep adding stuff if you want, or you can just call it. What else can I kind of throw in here? I do like how this sounds. What does the trigger on this do? Does this do what I think it does? I don't know what this does. No idea. Yeah, this is cool. This program's cool because you can save stuff. Yeah. Let's save this as I don't know. Okay, but now it's saved. And then I can open like other stuff, so we got Glarpy that I made before. But you can see all this, like, it's mostly the same stuff. I keep having this, I keep like loading this module and then not doing anything with it. But you can see there's still same stuff here. I got the clock here, the count, and then Bernoulli gate, I got the attenuverter polarizer thing. This is a quantizer, it's a different one. This is the same drum module. This is a mixer, this is a drum module, this is a drum module. It's just kind of like different stuff. There is like different types of, all sorts of different types of, where's my output? Of different modules. So if you look at the list here, these are all different tags of like different things. Attenuator, clock generator, clock modulator, which is like divider. These all do different things, but like once you kind of know what one of them does, then they all kind of do the same thing. Or everything in that category kind of does the same thing. Yeah. So I'm just gonna, I don't know, maybe mess around a little bit more. Let's make another new one. Okay. Let's get a different drum. I like this one, Muskrat. Has some cool sounds. Let's get my usual clock. And I just like this like clock module, but you can really use anything. Like any oscillator and set it to a square. But this one, it just comes with the divisions in it, which is nice. Let's get a mixer. Let's do a different mixer. Like mixer doesn't really matter, but let's just do a different one. Is the 8-channel mixer? Input. It's called is the module called Erogenous Tones, or is the brand? Hang on. I want something where I can do the, we'll just do this one, quad VCV. Okay. Oh, and then I need the output. This has some cool sounds. Do I have a different probability gate? Because I always use the same one, the Bernoulli gate. It's usually in random in here. I have this shit. It's called... Okay. Quick rant. This maker, they like only do digital ones. What is this? It's geodesics. Look at this. What am I looking at? Entropia, thermodynamic microstate sequencer. And there's like 40 knobs. And there's like a ton of inputs, and they're like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I did just say, like, if you know what you're doing, then you kind of know what's going on when you pull up anything. But then there's like this, and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know what the hell this is. Some are just weird, and you just need to like read the manual. What is too much? It looks cool. This one doesn't even have any knobs. It's just like colliding symbol. I don't know. But I'm not worried about that. I'm just using this one because it's basically the same as that probability gate we had before. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So let's go trigger in here, and then we take event 1 output. Is that right? No. Event. This one. There we go. Okay, so now it's random. And I think this knob up here is like the probability. Yeah, cool. Let's get an LFO. Let's do Erica synth one. Ooh, this is pretty. Oh, is this like different triggers? Check something. Oh no, so you can do like phasing, which is kind of cool. Oh, no, so oh, you can do the opposite way. That's interesting. Moving into attenuator. No, let's get a classic sample and hold. I tried this one, which I think is literally the same as the other one. Oh, you can set a random range. That's not right there. -10, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 1. Let's do plus or minus 1. Okay, let's do... It's a little too low. Yeah, sometimes if you start like hearing weird sounds, it's because like something went too low pitch. So this one we might have to throw it into here, the attenuator. Yep. Let's get something pitched. Oh, maybe I should show off the clock rotator or whatever. Oh, you can do this. So this is like something that does not exist in hardware, but it's like a sample player. So let me find. Are these waves? This is a wave. So this I can just throw. Oh, it's lagging. Hang on. Ah. Okay, there we go. I can just throw audio in. And then go here. Is that working? Why is it so quiet? This is just a sampler, which is just a fancy word for it takes audio. Is there a volume knob on here? Hello, Gert. How are you? This is just a fancy thing. It basically is just an audio player. I feel like there has to be. Yeah. I just figured. Well, I really just wanted to show off like VCV stuff because some people are like wondering about how to do some certain stuff. So I went over a bunch of stuff already. But if you have like questions on how stuff works, like go ahead. Is there? Can I normalize? Oh, okay. Is it really normalized? Can I just throw some gain on here? Just like. Do I have a compressor? I don't. Wait. I literally don't have a compressor. Oh well. I should probably get one of those. Is there no way to blast it? Oh, amplify. Yeah, that works. So this is just a song, and I can just throw it in here. And then... So this just basically becomes its own audio source. This is the cool thing. So, like I have this, and I still have my drum going over here. They don't really match up. But you can do fun stuff with it, with this, like you can... I have this little tape control. I can manually spin it. I can reverse it. Fast forward. You know, cool stuff like that. Yeah. But you can just use this as a source too. And, like everything else, you can use voltage to control it. This isn't Holly's song, but it is kind of the same style. Just like the PS1 jungle type style. But if I take like, does this work? Yeah. So this LFO is triggering the tape control to go forward and backwards. Why didn't you turn this up? I can also do stuff like I can use a trigger. This trigger makes it start going forward, and then I have another trigger that makes it start fast forwarding backward. So you can mess with it and do do like weird stuff. But yeah, all these little inputs here can be controlled by voltage. You can even just have it pause and then play again. You can also, this has a bunch of controls in it too, like you can make, yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that you can do. Can I do slices, generate equal slices? Let's do 7 slices, wait. Yeah. So now the sampler has created slices at 7 points in this song. And then I can press this button to go to a random slice. Let's take out this one. Okay, I need to go like this. Or maybe like... That sounds kind of cool. So now if I press random here, it goes to a different part of the song. But then, like everything else, I can have something else trigger that for me. So I'm going to take our clock trigger from over here. And now that's triggering randomly. Or it's triggering with the clock, you know what I mean? Okay. I still have this dinky drum gun over here. Why is this? How is this? I don't know how this module works. Let's get like another drum. Let's go drum mode. I do like... Let's go like this. This is just kind of like... So far it's just kind of like a weird thing with the sampler. That sounds cool. So this drum will go into here. This will trigger it. I'll take a sample and hold from here. So let's just listen to this drum for a second. No, we can take the other event from here, maybe. I don't know how this module works. So now this is kind of triggering randomly. No, it's the wrong one. This is kind of cool. It doesn't really go with this, I feel like. This is so cool. Okay, let's do... Here, I'm gonna start over. Let's do something... I'm gonna try to do kind of like a drone type thing. So I have our blank canvas. Because I like never do drones. I always want to do rhythmic stuff. Let's do... Find a cool VCO. Let's get the wavetable, and then let's get a second one on immediately. Let's do... Where's the other... This one. There we go. And then let's get just a classic mixer. So if I put this in here, okay. Yeah, that's cool. Let's get razor pitch. Yeah, that last one. Sounds cool. This is a wavetable oscillator. It's hard to describe without a visual, but basically there's like a set of different waveforms that is in this bank, and then when you turn this knob it like transforms from one to the other. So it's like sweeping between them kind of. And then, instead of having the knob do that, let's get an LFO to do it for us. So now it's turning the knob for us. And let's make it... Let's do something like that. And then let's start getting something from here. Oh. This is where I'm kind of just using my ear. Let me turn this up for you guys, maybe. I'm using my ear to try to get these kind of tuned to each other. It doesn't have to be perfect as long as it sounds like good. These are probably tuned exactly the same way, which is fine. So this, I can press this button and sweep between a bunch of different waves. This is kind of like a vocal sounding. And then it doesn't quite do what I want. Let's get a... So I'm going to use the same trick before. I'm going to use an what is it? Attenuator. Like I just like this attenuator. So it doesn't sweep as much or as far. And I might get a filter. So now it's kind of sweeping between different synth models. So I'm going to run it through this filter before it gets to the mixer. Let's get a different LFO. Or let's do the sampling over there. So I'm going to use one of these outputs to trigger the sample and hold, which will give a random. This is working. 0 to 10. Can I do 0 to 5? Yeah, that's right. This will slowly kind of change where the frequency cutoff is for our filter here. Oh, that's too much. also changing the resonance too at the same time. What else can I do? Oh, another thing that can be good to use is just some noise. So this literally just creates noise, and then this we definitely want to run it through like a VCV to adjust it, because if I don't, it's just that. So let's do this into here. Oh, and then actually this through a filter too. Can I do this? Let's get a new filter. Don't know how this works. Oh, it's okay. Let's see. VCA input? Filter input? Pitch? I don't know. Where's the output? Oh, output. Purple, yeah. Hang on. I'm learning. Okay, that's it. Yeah, sounds like better. Yeah, okay. So now we have a little noise going into a filter, and then the filter cutoff is being changed. So there's a little bit of noise there too. Yeah, and then if I want to, I can just keep adding more. This is the same thing. It's just like, it's like, okay, when do you stop? When do you not want to stop? And with generative, you can kind of just add as much on as you want. You can just have like mixers going into mixers, going into the output, going into whatever. But you can just like, you know, keep stuff simple if you want to. One thing, like doing traditional music stuff in modular tends to just be hard, because you just need a lot more stuff than you might think. Like, here's something I didn't show. Let me say this because it's brown. Let me make that simple. Oh, that was loud. Let me make that simple synth one more time. So, if I go VCO into a filter into a amp and get an ADSR like this, I'm speedrunning. This is my, like the title says, my any percent attempt. Okay, it's in here, there, here. Oh, I need a keyboard. Okay, hang on. Oh, which one is it? This is always where I lose time. This one. Yep. Computer keyboard. That gate here. There we go. Why is this so quiet? Oh, it's because. And time. There. Okay. So this is our basic synthesizer again. So I can play notes, but I can only play one note at a time. So this is a monophonic instrument because there's only one oscillator, right? So it can only make one tone at a time. So if I wanted to play a chord, I'd have to honestly do something like this. There's ways to do it, but let's say I get let me get a mixer. This works fine. This needs to go in here, and here, and here, and then this input from let's just do no filter. So this input, let's do triangle, triangle, let's get another. So I'm gonna just try to do a 3-voice chord. Okay, that's loud. Let me turn these down. I'll mix level. Okay. So now I gotta tune each of these. So we'll keep this. Let's turn down 3. Wait, I need to think. Do, 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 do. Make it just. That's not a good chord. There we go. That's kind of a good chord. So this is one chord. And then, but I tuned each of these oscillators separate, and I don't have the keyboard hooked up to them, so it's just playing the one chord, and that's all I can do. I could put my keyboard in each of them, like this, and then like this, and then like this. But now it's the same chord every time, just higher or lower. Oh, I don't have the third one. So I can play one chord at different points of the keyboard, but that's kind of it. And if I ever want to like do a different chord, I have to retune these differently. So like modular isn't good for like traditional music, because if I wanted to do that in like Ableton, as it's still here, I literally just have any patch and I just go like this, and I have a chord. I'm just pressing 4 keys. That's it. So it has strengths and weaknesses, but like doing generative stuff, you can do a little bit of it in Ableton, but nothing like in VCV rack or in a real modular environment, as they call it. But yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, I just have been messing around for a while now anyway. Get a better sound in Ableton. Now it's an Ableton stream, surprise. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, I'll probably, I mean, I'm gonna save the VOD, and then I didn't record this because it was lagging my thing, but Twitch saves them, so I'll just like upload it. I can probably just upload it to YouTube or download it. And then if anyone ever wants to mess with stuff, like, you can just ask me. And if you don't know stuff, then yeah. But that's pretty much it. I don't know. I don't really know what else to do. Yeah. But yeah, mess around with the VCV rack, and I think you can. There's like places and resources where people will upload their patches, and then like if you don't have any of the modules, then it will just like download them instantly for you, or like put them onto your account. You need to make an account, but I don't know, it seems alright. I'll bring up this one. But it's just fun to play around with. It's like you can use it for like real music stuff, but it's kind of like I don't really know how to use this for anything like super musical. It's just kind of like fun to mess around with and to be a toy. Although you can do stuff where like I think you need to like buy the subscription for this or whatever, but you can like directly plug this into DAW like Ableton and use it as like an instrument, but you could also just record it and then use the sounds from it and then put it into whatever you want. Yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Check out VCV Rack and just play around with music. Again, you don't really need to know much about like actual regular music. It's more just about like the science of like how voltage interacts with stuff, and yeah, just start messing around. Look at like some like basic patches and just try connecting stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's all I got. My jank stream setup, just the Oddworld background.